I'm Robin Hoffman. I'm a public artist here in Charlottesville. And some people might ask, what's a public artist? Well, a public artist is someone who does art for the public. In Charlottesville, I particularly love the community here who sometimes will do free venues. They try to promote the arts in every capacity, whether it be the restaurants, whether it be the bars, or the meeting places such as the new arena and Penn Park. I mean, there are just multiple places that musicians and artists will work for free. And that's not to say that they should, but because we do need to support their mortgages, and so I think that it's important that we do pay for art. And here are some initiatives that I've done. Over here's a poster. The one up top is a Charlottesville mural that I did, and it has to do with all the Charlottesville places that the field hockey play. So it's Canada, North Carolina, Texas, so it sort of pans like that, and there's the old kiosk on the downtown mall. If you look below that, you see a poster of the lighthouse. See, these are caricatures of events. So when you used to go to the lighthouse before it got demolished for the fundraising event, it was in the old building that they've now are going to build over. But that poster is for also to fundraise for them. And it's sort of the memory of how when you first enter the X building and the sort of the stages that you go through with the people there, and then the filming, and then finally how it looks from the outside. And over here, you see the claw poster. There's another event in Charlottesville. It is one of the most popular ones right now, where women have Charlotte's Jennifer Tisdale and Bree Luck and others have come together to create Claw, which is Charlottesville Lady Arm Wrestling. And it's become national because these are actual working people who decided to create images of wrestlers. Bridezilla and Bree Luck is stiletto southpaw and things like that. So they raise money because people are actually betting on who's going to win or whatever, and that's my impression of the event. I actually went home and did that, and people were able to see that Billy Hunt was in the background, and so forth and so on. And then if you look below that, there is the Crozet Music Festival, another event where, from my memory, you could see Ann Williams in there, and Mariana, and actually in the background is Johnny Gilmore, who passed away. And over here you can see there is the I did why I started for Charlottesville Public Access TV was for the U.S. immigration workers. I had to do drawings of the workers because to go into the interrogation because the cameras couldn't go in there. So I superimposed the drawing on Ellis Island images with a computer, and I wanted to do that, so that's why I came to Charlottesville Public Access TV. And over here is the poster of the Johnny Gilmore actual event to raise money after he passed in a tragic fire, and those are all the musicians. Also done by memory. And as you can see, we're outside in the hallway, so you're going to get these things. And then over here, this is the Southern Appalachian Mountain Steward poster, and I just realized that this is one of the defective posters, but because it says Southern is spelled incorrectly. But Kathy Savage is the one who was the most affected by the mountaintop coal mining, as well as 23 species that are lost. And so I did this for Nature Conservancy poster, and I'm showing you this because you know, when you're a public artist, I think you have some responsibilities, or at least I feel like I do, and I like to express them in some kind of format. Anyway, so let's go over here and see what's going on in the like Charlottesville Public Access TV, another public media. Oh, look what we have here! What a surprise!
Hi, Robin.
Hi, David Toscano.
Hey, give me a hug. Hey, how are you doing?
Good. Good surprise. You know, you see everybody. You know, you're all of a sudden in a public place, and you know what, David? Can I do your portrait?
Oh, sure.
Well, have a seat and I'll set up my easel. This is so great.
You're gonna make me look good, aren't you?
No, I don't know. You never know. You know, instead you're already gorgeous. It's hard to ruin what's already there. You know. So now, have a seat, relax, and I'll just do your portrait while maybe we can chit-chat a little bit.
I'll be glad to.
Oh, this is so great.
I just put my phone on hold. I was taking my messages off, doing a little work here.
So here we are at Charlottesville Public Access TV, which, by the way, I do a show called A Day a Minute with artist Robin Hoffman because of the free clinic. And you are so gracious today to come in to, for the benefit of the free clinic, to highlight their virtues, I guess. And basically what I do is I have sort of like shows throughout the year to remind people that they have an event on the 30th. Krauss. Very fine musicians coming just to benefit, you know, and this is like their annual fundraiser, so it's really important that people attend and also hopefully donate to the free clinic, and that people understand that the free clinic is for people who are employed and don't have enough benefits to really get good preventive care. So I worked for the free clinic as a volunteer, which is another thing people can do if they don't have money to donate. And when I did that, I also was learning how to do the film here. And anyway, so what I'd like to discuss with you, as long as you're here, and this is such a great opportunity, is how lucky we are, because I always highlight people who are like doers in Charlottesville, but you are an incredible institution. You've been here for how long doing all these things?
Been here since '81, been in elective office since 1990. Actually, I was on the city council that approved this cable access operation, and so I've been around for a while, done a few things, met a few people, learned a lot. So.
But, well, here's the thing. I mean, you not only are being able to, I guess, you're an attorney and you're a father.
Right. I'm an attorney. You know, we're part-time legislators, consistent with Jefferson's vision that we'd be citizen legislators. We go down there for a couple of months a year and then come back. And I'm a father of a 13-year-old son who's in the public schools. We have a great time. He's a musician, he's a singer, he's an actor, and so, you know, I do a lot of legislative things, but I have a lot of personal things going on in the community too. And you know, my compliments to you to work on the free clinic. It's been a godsend in our community. Provide services for folks who might not be so poor that they're on Medicaid, but don't have a lot of money, and they can get to the free clinic and get some of their health care needs met. That's really important.
Thank you. And you know, what's important is also us having you here representing us. It's amazing. You know, I personally have a bias to people who are dedicated and committed. And why? Because, you know, for instance, I have only been doing this for about a year, but I would never run for president.
I don't think I would either.
But the thing is, isn't that what we're seeing these days in terms of, and I don't mean for, you know, just anybody not to want to become a politician, but it takes can you tell us about your dedication and how, I mean, how it is that you're able to do what you do? First of all, you're very well educated. Where did you go to school?
Well, I went to school in upstate New York, a small liberal arts college called Colgate, and then I went to graduate school at Boston College in Boston, and have a degree in sociology from there, and then I went to law school. So, but I'm just a regular guy. I mean, I just do my work every day.
Why do you do your work every day?
Well, in terms of my legislative work, I'm in this to help people. That's the reason why I got involved in the first place. That's the reason I continue to do it. You know, we have a great community. We want to try to continue its greatness, but we also want to make sure that the folks who don't have as good a chance as a lot of us have an opportunity to get ahead. And the extent to which I can help with that, I've done a good job, and I'll continue to work on that as long as I'm in office.
So that's the point that I don't understand. In fact, it's kind of something that is my pet peeve this week.
Okay.
How, first of all, maybe you can explain how it is that you can commit to doing this when it's a very arduous task. It's not something that somebody can just say, okay, I'm going to become a leader of all these people. How many people do we have here that you're leading?
Well, it's 80,000 population in the district.
And so somebody's just going to say, I wake up in the morning, I am going to be responsible for 80,000 people. People can do that, but can you tell me in your own words how it really is?
Well, that's a great question. I'm not sure I woke up one day and said, I want to be responsible for 80,000 people. You know, I woke up one day and said, well, I see some things that need to get changed. These people aren't doing it the way I think it should be done, and so I offered myself to run for office to do the things that I thought I could do. And then you just sort of get hooked in. You know, first I was doing it as a city councilor, and then I was doing it as the mayor, and then I was saying, well, you know, the things that are not being done at the state level that need to get done, and maybe I can do that. So I offered myself up there, and I don't know, I've never seen myself as a leader of 80,000 people. I see myself as a representative of their desires and goals, and the extent to which I can help them, I've done a good job. And beyond that, I mean, we got a whole Commonwealth we're dealing with. That's 7.5 million people, and I need to watch out for them too.
Excuse me, I gotta put my hat on.
Yeah, your hat, yeah.
Do you know why artists wear hats?
Oh no, I don't know. You stumped me. This is Stump the Politician Day.
This is because we do caricatures, when we do portraits or when we paint. It sort of gives us focus and keeps out the glare.
Yeah, it's like baseball players.
Yeah.
Yeah, keeps the focus.
So, and I'm doing your caricature right now, so I kind of want to know a little bit more about your nuances. What do you like to do while you're at home?
I love to work in the yard. I love to play with my kid. I love to read. And occasionally I watch a baseball game on TV.
All right. That sounds nice and relaxing.
Yeah, well, you know, pulling weeds, there's something to pulling weeds.
It's true.
You have total control of your environment.
It is.
And you're making things more beautiful.
Yes. And it's definitely true that it does take time, and it's sort of a distraction also from your big ideas, which, again, I have to go back to because it just amazes me how much you do. You know, I am community-centered, and why I'm motivated to do my art. And I try not to change people's minds. But it's difficult sometimes. You know, you impart some of your ideas however I do it. I don't mean to, but I do. And then how do you become then receptive? And then how, first of all, you have to be intelligent. You yourself have the wherewithal. You can't be so humble and tell, you know, me that you didn't have a rich education. And that is probably your basis for why you believe you can help people, no?
Well, I have gotten a great education, you know, educated in the public schools. I went to a wonderful undergraduate institution, went to a great grad school, and of course UVA Law School is one of the preeminent law schools in the country. So that's good, but I think it's much more than that. I think if you're really going to be good as an elected official, you got to figure out a way to listen and incorporate people's views. We've got a wide variety of viewpoints in the community, and we've got an incredible knowledge base in the community that can be harnessed. That knowledge is power, and that can help us both here locally and help people statewide if we can harness it.
But, for instance, specifically when people have questions, what do you really feel like is your specialty in terms of, is it DMV, is it?
Oh, Well, you know, in my job, we do a couple of things. One is we help people with everyday problems when they have a problem with the state bureaucracy, if they have a problem with DMV or tax or the Department of Social Services, we'll intervene to try to get them some help. That's the concrete, everyday stuff that we do in our office. Beyond that, then you deal with the issues of policy, you know, whether it's do we build some new roads? What do we do about the water supply? What should we be doing about renewable energy? Those kinds of policy issues that become legislation. And for me, it's important to hear what people think about the things I'm proposing and for them to propose things themselves that might be great ideas that maybe some legislator has never thought of before. And I encourage people to give me ideas. Then we sort of vet them at the state level. Last year, for example, I had a bill that would have extended the school day, the school year 1 day a year for the next 10 years. That was just brought to me by a constituent.
Oh.
And now that's going to be studied to see if it makes any sense. So those are the kinds of examples where you can take a concrete proposal, turn it into legislation, and see if you can get it passed.
All right, but I'm a novice and I'm an American, so I don't know anything about legislation. So,
Right.
right? I mean, most Americans stay clueless. They're so busy. They have to work and they have to take care of their children and they have such a life that they're not really paying attention, I guess, to some of the facts. Who are you in terms of our judicial system and in terms of what power do you have and how do you?
Well, you know, I'm part of the legislative branch, you know, and as we learned a long, long time ago, 3 branches of government, the judicial, those are all the judges and their black robes. And then you've got the executive, which is the governor and the administration. And then you've got the legislative branch. And the legislative branch is the one that passes the laws and sends them to the governor to be signed. So what I do in my legislative role when I go down to Richmond, I will propose something that will be taken up by a committee in the House of Delegates. And that committee will decide whether it's a good idea. And I've learned a long time ago, you got to learn how to count, because you got to count to the majority in that committee to get anything passed. If the committee passes it, it goes right to the House floor. I'm one of 100 delegates, so I've got to count to 51 when I get my bill to the House floor.
Oh.
And if I get 51 votes, I get that bill passed by the House.
Oh.
But that's not the end of the story, you know? It's like a fine piece of art, you know? You have to set the table and then keep moving it forward. So the bill goes over to the Senate. And the Senate has to do the same thing with the bill. And if they pass the bill, then the bill goes to the governor, and the governor decides whether he's going to sign it or not. Fortunately for me, the governor has always been signing my bills, so I'm in good shape. But then the bill becomes law.
Wait, let's stop. I'm sorry, excuse me, I got all excited.
This is fast.
No, but why is the governor doing that? Why you, of all people?
Yes, well, the governor does it to every bill that a legislator proposes.
Any legislator?
Any legislator.
So you don't feel like the governor has your ear, whatever?
And he sometimes has my ear and sometimes not, because he will sometimes say no to a bill.
Oh, no.
And then it comes back to the legislature to figure out if the legislature thinks the bill is important enough that it should be signed independent of the governor's opposition. And that's how it works. I mean, it is a process, and just because we have a great idea doesn't mean that everybody's going to agree or the governor's going to sign the bill.
But, however, there is the fact that Charlottesville City has been getting their legal ideas or that they're known for. Is that because of you?
Well, partly because of me, partly because we've got really great people in the community who come up with great ideas. So the city council and the county board of supervisors, I represent all of the city, and I represent more voters in Albemarle County than any one single delegate. So I get ideas from the board of supervisors and from the city council. And I turn those ideas into legislation, and I see if I can get them passed. So these are not all my original ideas.
Right.
In fact, how many people have original ideas these days? But I'm the conduit. I'm the vehicle by which we can get some things changed at the state level, and that's what I try to do.
Can you give me some ones that you've got passed lately, legislation?
Sure. Well, I have a great bill the governor is going to just sign this week. It has to do with solar power. Yeah, I thought you'd like that, Robin. So, you know, we want to try to create more opportunities for solar power and renewable energy.
Wow.
And so we got together with the Piedmont Environmental Council and Dominion Power,
Oh my goodness,
two groups that often don't see eye to eye. And we said, well, we have this idea. We want you all to work on it together, and they worked on it with me. And so the governor's now going to sign the bill, and we're going to have a number of pilot programs for large photovoltaic solar power that will be located on the roofs of commercial buildings in Virginia, and we'll see economically how it's going to work. Right now, we don't have a lot of information about that, but if we're ever going to do a lot with solar, we're going to have to get this economic information, and this is going to help us do that.
Now, do you know that our president, who, by the way, again, I just have to say, very educated, constitutional law, teaching, just very knowledgeable. We're so lucky that there's somebody there who's leading us with a brain, which I'm so excited about because it's the first time in our country in a very long time that I think we've had that opportunity to have an ear of reason. So, anyway, with that, they're going to put solar panels on the White House this year, coming up 2012. It used to be there with Carter. They took it off with Reagan, and now they're going to put it back on. But also wind turbines is something that I'm passionate about because on Hollymead, for instance, that whole area where they took the trees out, if you go there any time of day, there is an impressive amount of wind. And I can, like as an artist, I can like sort of decorate them. So they're not an eyesore, that actually we can enhance the environment because all it is flat land anyway. But it's, wind turbines are something that Germany and Spain, oh my goodness, they come here and they plant them. So we better get on board, and Charlottesville is one of the people that people are looking at, so I'm so glad you're talking about this. Now I'm getting your nuances here, so I need
from all my talk
for more information about like who you are. So can you tell me a little bit about do you prefer the city or the country, do you think?
I prefer both. I mean, there's one of the wonderful things about this area is we've got a cosmopolitan center where there's a lot of things, a lot of amenities that you would find in a larger city. But it's small enough that individuals or small groups of people can have an impact on what goes on. Beyond that, it's the beauty of the place. I mean, you go into the rural areas of Albemarle County and you can't find places anywhere in this country that are as beautiful, anywhere in the world really. So it's important for us to figure out a way to maintain the integrity and the viability of the city space while protecting the rural countryside. We need to do both. And I think sometimes people in one jurisdiction or the other focus so much on their own parochial interests that they lose track of the fact that what makes the place special is the regional character of it, the beauty of the countryside with the viability of the cityscape. And I hope that city leaders and county leaders will try to do more to encourage this cooperation because we're going to rise or fall as a region.
I know for a fact, I had Rodney Thomas on my show, and he told me last April that there were 3,000 farms, and now there's only 300. I don't know how we're going to eat, because it's going to be very prohibitive if we're going to have to haul all this, farm stuff from I don't know where. The gas cost and oil is going to run out. So we need to concentrate on not sustainability, and so we're so lucky to have you because you also know the laws, and I guess you're familiar with EPA and what they're doing, the regulations that we have and what we can't do. I mean, we're so lucky to have you here in Charlottesville. So I have one more question. What's your favorite color?
Green.
Green. I'm doing a lot of green. Good. And also, are you reading anything now that you want to tell us about?
Yeah, great book called How Can We Put a Man on the Moon, which is all about the U.S. efforts in the late 60s to put a man on the moon. And they try to draw a comparison between how we marshaled our technological resources then versus how we're doing them now as a country. And that was a great effort by the Kennedy administration to do something that had never been done before. And we had to join together as a country to do that. We've got some serious problems in this country now, and we're going to have to figure out ways to work together to get them solved.
Well, and wait, let me go back to my drawing because I have to get your nuances a little more. So what color is your son's hair?
Brown.
Brown. And what is his favorite thing to do?
He's an oboist. He loves to play music.
Ah, oboe.
Double reed.
How did that happen?
I don't know. Sal's had perfect pitch. He's a singer. He's an actor.
Oh.
He's going to be in The King and I this summer, playing
Yay.
the Prince at Ashlawn.
Oh. So now, here's the thing. For instance, I also volunteer for Martha Jefferson Hospital, and they gave us the tour, the opening.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I got the tour already, and they are very wonderful too. Because Waldorf School. A lot of people have finally gotten the idea that art is very important in everyday life. So my concern, they have a collection of art. They had a couple of my pieces. They're going to put it not in the main hospital, but anyway. So the thing is, if you eliminate art, it's been discovered that people forget how to look. It's almost like an exercise in observing. So they're incorporating in UVA, in the science department, engineering department, in Waldorf School, they teach math with art. So my question to you is, how important is it to you? Do you realize the importance of that part of your brain, so to speak, because you're a son? Or
My son is very artistic. I have always appreciated art. I've never really been good at it, but it speaks to the soul in each one of us, and we need that piece of it to be drawn out, pulled out a little bit more in our lives to make sure we're connecting with nature and we're connecting with each other. I think that's part of what art does, whether it's visual arts or whether it's music or whatever it is.
And you would know because you went to school for all those years. Now, I have to wrap this up, but so let me show you your drawing over here. And it's not, I don't know what happened, but it doesn't look like you. But anyway,
That's great.
I want to do it again another time. That sometimes happens with me. I get so involved with the person, I forget what they look like. But
We'll
anyway,
have a chance again. Who's this? Is
that's
that you?
your son. That's your son with a baseball hat. But
Okay,
anyway.
That's great. Well, thank you so much
You're
for
welcome
doing that.
so much, and thank you so much for coming to our Day in a Minute with Robin Hoffman, and thank you, and we really appreciate you for what you're doing, and I think that we just have to honor that you're here with us in Charlottesville.
Our house is a very, very, very